My beloved child, stop for a moment and stay with me. Do not rush past this second as if it were no different from all the others. Do not treat this moment as ordinary, because there is a reason your eyes are here right now. Out of all the paths your day could have taken, out of all the voices that could have filled your attention, you have arrived here. And I want you to know something before anything else. This is not an accident. This is not random timing. This is not a meaningless interruption in your day. There is a reason. There is a purpose. There is something deeper happening beneath the surface than you can currently see. I know that part of you wonders why. Why now? Why this moment? Why these words? Why did your attention stop here when it could have continued somewhere else? My child, there are questions your heart has been carrying for longer than you realize. Questions you have spoken aloud. Questions you have whispered into the silence. Questions you have hidden so deeply that even you rarely acknowledge them anymore. Yet I have heard every one of them. I have watched every moment of uncertainty. I have seen every restless night and every silent sigh. I have seen the way you searched for direction while pretending you already knew where you were going. I have seen the way you tried to stay strong while carrying burdens that grew heavier with every passing day. And because I have seen it all, I could not allow this moment to pass without reaching for you. My child, timing matters more than you know. There are seasons when I work quietly behind the scenes, arranging things that your eyes cannot yet understand. There are moments when I prepare hearts before revealing answers. There are days when what appears ordinary is actually sacred. And there are appointments that heaven arranges long before anyone realizes they exist. This is one of those moments. This is one of those appointments. You may have thought you were simply moving through another day, but I have been guiding your steps more carefully than you know. Long before this moment arrived, I knew exactly where you would be. I knew what would be weighing on your heart. I knew the worries you would carry. I knew the disappointments you would still be trying to understand. And I knew the exact moment when your heart would be ready to hear my voice in a deeper way. That is why you are here. Not because of luck, not because of coincidence, not because of chance. You are here because my love has been pursuing you even when you were unaware of it. My child, there is something inside you that has been longing for reassurance. Something inside you that has been asking if I still see you, if I still care, if I still have a purpose for your life. Perhaps you have not spoken those questions recently, but they have remained hidden beneath the surface. They have followed you through busy days and quiet nights. They have lingered in your thoughts when no one else was around. And today I want to answer those questions before fear tries to answer them for you. Yes, I see you. Yes, I know you. Yes, I care about every detail of your life. And yes, I am still working in ways you cannot yet imagine. There is a hidden message within this moment, but it is not hidden because I want to keep it from you. It is hidden because your heart must become still enough to receive it. The world teaches you to move faster, to keep scrolling, to keep searching, to keep distracting yourself from the deeper places within your soul. But I am inviting you to do something different. I am inviting you to pause, to breathe, to listen, because what you have been looking for is not always found in the noise. Sometimes it is found in the quiet moments when my presence gently reaches for your heart, my beloved child. There is a reason your spirit feels drawn to stay. There is a reason something inside you senses that this moment matters. It is because your soul recognizes what your mind has not fully understood yet. I am closer than you think. I am nearer than your fears tell you. I am more involved in your story than your doubts allow you to believe. And today, before anything changes around you, before any circumstance shifts, before any answer becomes visible, I want you to know this simple truth. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not walking through life alone. I have been with you through every chapter, every question, every uncertainty, and every hidden battle. And right now, in this very moment, I am asking you to stay close, because this is only the beginning of what I want to reveal to your heart. My beloved child, now that you have become still enough to listen, I want to speak to the part of you that few people ever see, the part that keeps going when it is tired, the part that smiles when it wants to cry, the part that tells everyone, I am fine, while carrying a weight that grows heavier with every passing day. I know that weight. I know the exhaustion that follows you even when your schedule is not full. I know the emotional fatigue that settles over your heart and makes even simple things feel difficult. You have been carrying more than you were ever meant to carry alone. Some of it comes from responsibilities. Some of it comes from disappointments. Some of it comes from wounds that never fully healed. And some of it comes from battles that no one else knows you are fighting. My child, there have been moments when you could not even explain why you felt so tired. Your body rested, but your soul remained weary. You tried to move forward, but something inside you felt drained. You kept showing up. You kept trying. You kept doing your best. Yet deep within there was a quiet ache that never seemed to leave. I have seen that ache. I have seen the hidden pain you rarely put into words. I have seen the nights when your thoughts would not slow down. The moments when your mind replayed conversations, mistakes, fears, and unanswered questions. The times when you carried concerns that no one else knew were keeping you awake. The times when you felt surrounded by people and yet strangely alone. My beloved child, your silent struggle has not gone unnoticed. I know how exhausting it is to keep carrying burdens while pretending they do not affect you. I know how tiring it is to always be the strong one, to always be the understanding one, to always be the one who holds everything together, while wondering who will hold you together when your strength begins to fade. There are wounds within your heart that were never caused by a single moment. They came slowly, through disappointments, through delays, through seasons that lasted longer than expected, through prayers that seemed unanswered, through hopes that felt deferred, through times when life did not unfold the way you believed it would. And little by little, the weight accumulated. Not enough to break you in one day, but enough to leave your spirit feeling exhausted. My child, there have been moments when you questioned yourself more than anyone else ever could. Moments when you wondered whether you were enough, whether you had done enough, whether you were falling behind, whether something was wrong with you because life felt harder than it appeared to be for others. You compared your journey to journeys you could only partially see. You carried expectations that were never meant to define your worth, and without realizing it, you began carrying burdens that were never yours to bear. I know the emotional fatigue that comes from disappointment after disappointment. I know the heaviness that settles over a heart that has been hoping for a long time. I know what it feels like when your spirit becomes tired of waiting, tired of wondering, tired of trying to understand things that make no sense. My beloved child, there is pain you have shared with others, but there is also pain you have kept hidden. Pain buried beneath responsibilities. Pain buried beneath routines. Pain buried beneath the need to keep moving forward. Yet even hidden pain continues to weigh upon the heart. Even silent struggles leave marks upon the soul. And I want you to know that I see every one of them. I see the disappointments you rarely mention. I see the fears you try to ignore. I see the loneliness you sometimes feel, even when no one around you realizes it. I see the pressure. I see the weariness. I see the hidden tears that never reached anyone else's eyes. And through it all, my child, I have never looked away, not for a single moment. I have remained near through every silent battle, every heavy thought, every weary step, and every burden you thought you had to carry by yourself. My beloved child, as you have carried these burdens for so long, something else has quietly been happening beneath the surface. The weight itself has not been the only thing affecting your heart. Over time, certain thoughts have begun to settle into places where truth was meant to live, not because you wanted them there, not because you chose them intentionally, but because pain has a way of repeating messages until they start to sound familiar, and familiar messages often begin to feel like truth. I have watched this happen within you. I have seen how disappointment slowly turned into self-doubt. I have seen how unanswered questions created room for fear to speak louder than it should. I have seen how moments of rejection made you question your value, and little by little, without even realizing it, you started believing things about yourself that I never said. My child, one of the deepest false beliefs you have carried is the fear that you have somehow been forgotten. Perhaps you would never say those exact words out loud. Perhaps you still pray. Perhaps you still hope. Yet somewhere deep within your heart, there have been moments when you wondered if everyone else was moving forward while you were standing still. Moments when you watched doors open for others and wondered why your own path seemed so uncertain. Moments when silence lasted longer than expected and you quietly asked yourself whether anyone truly saw what you were going through. That thought did not arrive all at once. It grew slowly, through delays, through waiting, through loneliness, through exhaustion. And before you knew it, a subtle question began following you. What if I have been forgotten, my beloved child? There is another lie that has weighed heavily upon your spirit, the belief that you are not enough, not strong enough, not successful enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough, not faithful enough. Fear has a way of taking temporary struggles and turning them into permanent labels. A difficult season becomes proof that you are failing. A mistake becomes proof that you are inadequate. A disappointment becomes proof that you are somehow less valuable than others. But that is what fear does. Fear does not simply observe circumstances. Fear interprets them through the lens of hopelessness. Fear whispers that your setbacks define you. Fear whispers that your weaknesses are your identity. Fear whispers that if you were truly valuable, life would be easier than it is now. And after hearing those whispers long enough, self-doubt begins to settle into your heart like an unwanted guest. My child, I know the conversations that happen inside your mind when no one else is listening. I know how often you have questioned yourself. I know how many times you replayed your failures while ignoring your growth. I know how many times you focused on what was missing while overlooking how far you have already come. I know how often fear convinced you that everyone else was stronger, wiser, happier, or more prepared than you. Yet those thoughts have never told the full story. They only tell the story through the eyes of insecurity. They only tell the story through the lens of woundedness. They only tell the story through the voice of self-doubt. My beloved child, there have been days when you felt like you were carrying an invisible burden that no one could understand. But much of that burden was not created by circumstances alone. It was created by the meaning you attached to those circumstances. The false belief that your delays meant you were falling behind. The false belief that your struggles meant you were failing. The false belief that your pain meant you were alone. The false belief that your worth depended on your performance. The false belief that being imperfect somehow made you unlovable. These thoughts have followed you for so long that they began to sound familiar. And because they sounded familiar, they started feeling true. But my child, familiarity is not the same as truth. Fear is not truth. Self-doubt is not truth. And the voice that constantly condemns, diminishes, and discourages you has never been the voice that has been lovingly calling your name all along. My beloved child, because you have listened this far, I want you to see something that fear has hidden from you for a very long time. You have spent so much energy looking at yourself through the lens of disappointment that you have forgotten there is another perspective. You have measured yourself by what has not happened yet. You have evaluated your worth by the things you still struggle with. You have looked at your life and focused on what seems unfinished, uncertain, or imperfect. But I do not see you the way you see yourself. My perspective is different. While you have been looking at your weaknesses, I have been watching your perseverance. While you have been focusing on your delays, I have been seeing your endurance. While you have been noticing every mistake, I have been watching every step forward that you thought was too small to matter. My child, there have been days when you believed you were barely holding on. Yet from my perspective, you were stronger than you realized. Not because you never felt afraid, not because you never felt discouraged, but because, despite your fears, despite your doubts, despite your exhaustion, you continued moving forward. You continued showing up. You continued hoping even when hope felt fragile. You continued searching for me even during seasons when you struggled to feel my presence. That is not weakness. That is hidden strength. The strength you admire in others is often visible, but the strength I see within you is the kind that grows quietly. It develops in unseen places. It grows during difficult seasons. It deepens through challenges that no one else understands. My beloved child, you have looked at certain seasons of your life and called them wasted. You have looked at delays and assumed nothing good was happening. You have looked at waiting and believed you were standing still. But while you thought nothing was changing, growth was taking place beneath the surface. While you were focused on the absence of visible results, unseen growth was quietly transforming your heart. You were learning patience. You were developing compassion. You were becoming more resilient. You were gaining wisdom through experiences that could not have been learned any other way. The growth was real, even when it was invisible. Think about how a seed develops beneath the soil. Long before anyone sees evidence above the ground, life is already forming below it. Roots are growing deeper, strength is developing, preparation is happening in hidden places. And just because it cannot yet be seen does not mean it is not real. My child, there is growth within you that others cannot see, but I can. There is healing that has already begun, even if it is not yet complete. There is maturity developing in places where insecurity once lived. There is courage growing where fear once ruled. There is faith being strengthened in ways you do not yet recognize. My beloved child, you often see yourself through the lens of what you still need to overcome. I see you through the lens of who you are becoming. You focus on how far you still have to go. I see how far you have already come. You notice every setback. I notice every victory. You remember every failure. I remember every moment you chose not to give up. You call yourself weak because you feel tired. I see someone who has carried heavy burdens and still continues to move forward. You call yourself behind because your journey looks different from someone else's. I see someone walking a path that was never meant to be identical to anyone else's. My child, the story you tell yourself matters. And for too long, fear has been narrating parts of that story. Fear has highlighted your flaws while ignoring your growth. Fear has magnified your struggles while minimizing your progress. Fear has convinced you that your value depends on outcomes. But when I look at you, I do not see a person defined by failures, delays, or imperfections. I see someone deeply loved. I see someone still growing. I see someone whose story is still unfolding. I see hidden strength where you see weakness. I see unseen growth where you see waiting. And I see beauty being formed within you that you cannot fully recognize yet, but that has never escaped my sight. My beloved child, because you are beginning to see yourself through my eyes instead of through fear, I want to speak to one of the questions that has weighed heavily upon your heart. It is a question you may have asked many times, sometimes with words, and sometimes only with silent frustration. Why has this taken so long? Why does it feel like others move forward while you remain in a season of waiting? Why do some answers seem delayed, even when your prayers have been sincere? I know those questions. I have heard them in the quiet places of your heart, and I want you to understand something important. Waiting is not the absence of my work. Waiting is often where some of my deepest work takes place. My child, when you look at a seed placed into the soil, there is a period when nothing appears to happen. The surface remains unchanged. There are no visible signs of growth. To an impatient observer, it might seem as though the seed has been forgotten. It might seem as though nothing is happening at all. Yet beneath the surface, life is already moving. Roots are beginning to stretch downward. Strength is beginning to form. The foundation for future growth is quietly developing where no one can see it. The hidden work is not less important than the visible growth. In many ways, it is more important. Because what grows above the surface can only be sustained by what has first grown beneath it. My beloved child, there have been seasons when you looked at your life and saw only delay. I looked at the same season and saw preparation. You saw closed doors. I saw protection. You saw uncertainty. I saw growth. You saw a lack of progress. I saw roots going deeper than you realized. The process was unfolding even when it felt invisible. The preparation was happening even when it felt slow. The growth was taking place even when you could not measure it. My child, every season has a purpose. There are seasons for planting. There are seasons for growth. There are seasons for harvest. No farmer stands over a field demanding fruit the day after seeds are planted. There is an understanding that growth requires time. Development requires patience. Healthy things mature through process. Yet when it comes to your own life, it is often harder to trust that same truth. You want immediate clarity, immediate answers, immediate results. But some of the most valuable things I do within you cannot be rushed. Character cannot be rushed. Wisdom cannot be rushed. Deep faith cannot be rushed. The ability to carry future blessings with maturity often develops through seasons of waiting. My beloved child, if I had removed every delay from your journey, there are lessons you would never have learned. There are strengths you would never have discovered. There are depths of trust you would never have developed. I do not say this to minimize the difficulty of waiting. I know waiting can be painful. I know it can test your patience. I know it can make you question what is happening. But the waiting season is not empty. It is not meaningless. It is not punishment. It is process. It is preparation. It is growth, unfolding one day at a time. Think again about roots. The deeper the roots grow, the stronger the tree becomes when storms arrive. What appears slow is often creating stability. What appears delayed is often building endurance. What appears hidden is often preparing something beautiful for the future. My child, you have spent so much time wishing this season would end that you may not have noticed what it has already produced within you. Compassion that was not there before, wisdom that came through experience, patience that developed through perseverance, sensitivity to my voice that emerged during quiet moments, strength that formed while carrying burdens you once thought would overwhelm you. These things matter. These things are growth, and they are evidence that your waiting has never been wasted. Even now, while you wonder how much longer certain prayers may take, I want you to remember this truth. A seed does not stop growing simply because it cannot yet be seen. Roots do not stop developing simply because they remain hidden. And my work within your life does not stop simply because you cannot yet see the full picture. The process is still unfolding. The preparation is still happening. The growth is still real. And through every season, whether visible or hidden, I have remained with you, carefully tending what is growing beneath the surface of your life. My beloved child, while so much of your attention has been focused on what you are waiting for, there is another question that deserves your attention. Not what are you waiting to receive, but who are you becoming along the way? This question changes everything, because the greatest transformations often happen long before circumstances change. They happen within the hidden places of the heart. They happen quietly, gradually, almost unnoticed at first. And yet they shape the person you are becoming in ways that will remain with you for years to come. My child, if you could step back and see your journey from a wider perspective, you would notice something remarkable. You are not the same person you were before this season began. You may still have questions. You may still have struggles. You may still have moments of uncertainty. But there are qualities developing within you now that did not exist in the same way before. There is wisdom growing where there was once only urgency. There is patience developing where there was once only frustration. There is resilience forming where there was once only discouragement. The process has been changing you even when you were too close to it to recognize what was happening. Wisdom often grows in ways that feel uncomfortable at first. It grows through experiences that teach you what truly matters. It grows when expectations are adjusted. It grows when life refuses to follow your timeline and invites you to see things from a deeper perspective. There are things you understand now that you could not have understood several years ago. There are insights that only experience could teach. There is discernment developing within you that comes not from knowing everything, but from learning how to navigate uncertainty with greater maturity. My child, resilience has also been taking root within you, not the kind that pretends everything is easy, not the kind that ignores pain. True resilience is something far more beautiful. It is the ability to keep moving forward without becoming hardened. It is the ability to remain open-hearted even after disappointment. It is the ability to continue believing that goodness is possible even after difficult seasons. Every challenge you have faced has been strengthening muscles within your spirit that could not have developed any other way. There were moments when you thought you were breaking. Yet those moments were often shaping a deeper endurance than you realized. Patience is another gift being formed within you. I know patience is rarely celebrated while it is developing. It often feels slow. It often feels uncomfortable. Yet patience creates room for wisdom to flourish. Patience teaches you how to remain steady when answers are not immediate. It teaches you how to trust the process without demanding complete understanding. It teaches you how to stay grounded while life unfolds one step at a time. What once felt unbearable now feels manageable because patience has quietly been growing alongside you. My beloved child, perhaps one of the most beautiful things developing within you is compassion. Pain has a way of opening the heart when it is allowed to teach instead of harden. The struggles you have faced have given you a greater understanding of what others carry. The disappointments you have experienced have deepened your empathy. The tears you have shed have increased your ability to recognize the silent struggles of those around you. Compassion is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. It allows you to connect, encourage, and uplift others in ways that would not have been possible without your own journey. My child, you often measure growth by visible accomplishments. But some of the most important growth cannot be measured by achievements, titles, timelines, or outcomes. It is measured by the person you are becoming. It is measured by the wisdom that guides your decisions. It is measured by the resilience that helps you rise again after difficult days. It is measured by the patience that steadies your heart. It is measured by the compassion that softens your interactions with others. These qualities are becoming part of who you are. They are not temporary lessons. They are lasting treasures being woven into your character. And one day, you will look back on this season and realize that while you thought you were simply waiting, something extraordinary was being built within you. You were becoming stronger without becoming harder, wiser without becoming cynical, patient without becoming passive, compassionate without losing courage. And the person emerging from this process will be more prepared, more grounded, and more capable of carrying the future that lies ahead. My beloved child, after everything you have heard, you may still be asking a simple question. What do I do now? If growth has been happening beneath the surface, if transformation has been unfolding within me, if this season has not been wasted, then what is my next step? The answer is not as complicated as you may think. It is not about carrying more. It is not about trying harder. It is not about creating another list of things you must accomplish before you can move forward. The invitation before you is much gentler than that. It begins with release. There are things you have been carrying that were never meant to remain in your hands forever. Some of them are fears. Some of them are regrets. Some of them are disappointments that have followed you for years. Some are expectations that have become too heavy for your heart to sustain. And before you can fully embrace what lies ahead, you must first be willing to loosen your grip on what has been weighing you down. My child, let go of the belief that you must understand everything before taking the next step. There are moments when clarity comes after trust, not before it. There are seasons when the path becomes visible only as you continue walking. You do not need every answer today. You do not need to solve every uncertainty. You do not need to control every outcome. The future was never meant to rest entirely upon your shoulders. Release the burden of needing to manage what is beyond your reach. Let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. Let go of the exhausting responsibility of trying to carry tomorrow before it arrives. My beloved child, there is also another invitation. Forgive. Not because what happened was acceptable. Not because your pain was insignificant. Not because difficult experiences should simply be ignored. Forgiveness is not pretending that wounds never existed. Forgiveness is choosing not to allow those wounds to continue directing the course of your life. Every time bitterness remains untouched, it asks for more space within the heart. It asks for more energy, more attention, more emotional weight, and over time it becomes another burden to carry. The invitation to forgive is not about excusing the past. It is about freeing your future. It is about creating room for peace where resentment once lived. My child, surrender is another part of this invitation. Surrender is often misunderstood. Many people think surrender means weakness. They think surrender means giving up. But true surrender is neither of those things. True surrender is the courage to place into my hands what you cannot control. It is the wisdom to stop fighting battles that only leave your soul exhausted. It is the decision to trust that not everything depends upon your strength. Surrender does not make you passive. It makes you available for deeper peace. It allows your heart to rest from carrying responsibilities it was never designed to bear alone. My beloved child, trust is the final part of this invitation. Trust does not require perfect confidence. Trust does not require the absence of questions. Trust simply begins with a willingness to keep moving forward, even when certainty feels incomplete. Trust means believing that growth is still happening even when progress feels slow. Trust means believing that purpose still exists even when the path feels unclear. Trust means allowing hope to remain alive during seasons that have not yet fully unfolded. It is not a single decision made once. It is a gentle choice made again and again, one day at a time, one step at a time, one prayer at a time. My child, the invitation before you is not complicated. Release what is weighing you down. Forgive what continues to hold your heart captive. Surrender what you cannot control. Trust the process that is still unfolding. These choices may seem small, but they create space for something beautiful to emerge. They create space for peace where anxiety once lived. They create space for freedom where pressure once ruled. They create space for renewed strength where exhaustion once settled. And as you continue walking forward, you will begin to discover that the path ahead becomes lighter, not because every challenge disappears, but because you are no longer carrying everything by yourself. My beloved child, once you begin releasing what has weighed you down, something remarkable starts to happen. Your eyes slowly lift from what has been behind you and begin to notice what may be waiting ahead. Not every detail becomes clear. Not every question is answered immediately. Yet hope begins to return in quiet ways. A new perspective starts to emerge. Possibilities that once felt distant begin to feel closer. And little by little, your heart becomes open to the future again. I know there have been moments when you struggled to imagine anything changing. There have been seasons when disappointment felt so familiar that hope seemed risky. You protected yourself from expecting too much because you were tired of feeling let down. You convinced yourself not to look too far ahead because uncertainty felt safer than anticipation. Yet, my child, your story was never meant to end in weariness. It was never meant to remain trapped in the same chapter forever. Life moves through seasons. Winter does not remain forever. Fields that appear empty do not remain barren forever. Night eventually gives way to morning. And in the same way, there are chapters ahead that you cannot yet see from where you stand today. My beloved child, I do not want you to focus on predicting every detail of the future. The future is not a puzzle you must solve before you can move forward. Instead, I want you to become aware of possibility. There may be opportunities waiting beyond the horizon of your current understanding. There may be relationships that bring encouragement where loneliness once existed. There may be moments of restoration where loss once seemed permanent. There may be doors that open in ways you never expected because they arrive from directions you were not watching. Sometimes the greatest blessings arrive in forms that look different from what you originally imagined. That is why hope must remain flexible. Hope is not attached to one specific outcome. Hope remains open to the many ways goodness can still enter your story. My child, restoration often begins long before it becomes visible. A broken confidence can be restored. A weary spirit can be restored. A sense of purpose can be restored. Joy can return where heaviness once settled. Peace can return where anxiety once ruled. Strength can return where exhaustion once lingered. Restoration does not always happen in dramatic moments. Sometimes it unfolds gradually. One day you realize that a burden feels lighter. Another day you notice that fear no longer has the same power it once had. Another day you discover that your heart is no longer trapped in old disappointments. Small changes accumulate until they become a new chapter. My beloved child, there are breakthroughs that do not announce themselves with great noise. Some breakthroughs happen quietly within the soul. The moment you stop defining yourself by old failures, the moment you begin trusting again, the moment you release resentment, the moment you choose courage instead of fear, the moment you embrace hope despite uncertainty. These breakthroughs are often invisible to others, yet they change everything. They prepare you to step into opportunities that once would have overwhelmed you. They prepare you to recognize blessings that once might have gone unnoticed. They prepare you to carry new responsibilities with greater wisdom and maturity. My child, there is more ahead than you currently realize. Not because life will suddenly become perfect, not because every challenge will disappear, but because growth has been preparing you for a future larger than your current perspective allows you to see. The person you are becoming is capable of more than you think. The resilience that has been built within you will help you navigate new opportunities. The wisdom you have gained will help you make better decisions. The patience you have developed will help you remain steady during transition. The compassion that has grown within your heart will allow you to bring encouragement wherever you go. These things matter because they will accompany you into every future chapter. My beloved child, do not assume that the best parts of your story are already behind you. Do not assume that what you have experienced so far is all there is. There are still pages that have not been written. There are still opportunities that have not appeared. There are still moments of restoration waiting to unfold. There are still breakthroughs of perspective, purpose, peace, and growth waiting beyond the horizon. And while you cannot yet see every detail of what lies ahead, you can move forward with quiet confidence, knowing that a new chapter is not something to fear, it is something to anticipate with hope. My beloved child, as this moment comes to a close, I do not want you to leave carrying pressure. I do not want you to walk away feeling that you must have every answer, solve every problem, or understand every detail of what lies ahead. Instead, I want you to carry something far more valuable. I want you to carry peace, the kind of peace that does not depend upon circumstances being perfect, the kind of peace that remains steady even when questions remain unanswered, the kind of peace that quietly reminds your heart that growth is still happening, that purpose still exists, and that your story is still unfolding one step at a time. My child, remember what you have discovered along this journey. The burdens you carried were real, but they were never meant to define you. The fears you faced felt powerful, but they were never the final truth about your life. The waiting season felt long, but it was not empty. Beneath the surface, preparation was taking place. Growth was taking place. Transformation was taking place. And even when you could not see it, something meaningful was being formed within you. Remember that hidden strength exists within you. Remember that resilience has been growing through every challenge. Remember that wisdom has been developing through every lesson. Remember that patience has been quietly strengthening your heart. Remember that compassion has been deepened through every struggle you have endured. These things are part of who you are becoming. They are evidence that your journey has value even in seasons when progress felt invisible. My beloved child, there may still be days when uncertainty tries to return. There may still be moments when old fears attempt to speak again. There may still be occasions when you wonder whether you are moving forward quickly enough. When those moments come, return to this truth. Growth is not always loud. Transformation is not always dramatic. Sometimes the most important changes happen quietly. Sometimes the strongest roots grow in hidden places. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs begin long before they become visible. Do not measure your life only by what can be seen today. Trust that meaningful things are still unfolding beneath the surface. My child, release the need to compare your journey to anyone else's. Your path has its own timing. Your process has its own purpose. Your story has its own beauty. What is meant for you does not require you to become someone else first. Continue moving forward with humility. Continue learning. Continue trusting. Continue allowing your heart to remain open to growth. The future does not belong to fear. The future does not belong to discouragement. The future belongs to possibility, restoration, and hope. My beloved child, may your mind be filled with calm when anxiety tries to rise. May your heart remain steady when uncertainty appears. May your spirit find rest when life feels heavy. May wisdom guide your decisions. May patience strengthen your journey. May resilience carry you through difficult moments. May compassion continue to soften your heart, and may hope remain alive within you, even on days when the road ahead seems unclear. As you continue forward, remember this simple truth. You are not defined by your delays. You are not defined by your disappointments. You are not defined by your fears. You are not defined by the chapters that challenged you. You are being shaped by something greater, one season at a time, one lesson at a time, one step at a time. And when you look back one day, you will realize that even the moments that felt uncertain were helping prepare you for who you were becoming. So go forward with a peaceful heart. Go forward with quiet confidence. Go forward knowing that growth is still happening, that hope is still alive, and that the chapter ahead does not need to be feared. It can be received with trust. Carry this with you above everything else. What is growing within you is greater than what is standing before you.